Gandhi, Lloyd George, Disraeli, Churchill. There are 11 statues in Parliament Square, but one thing that unites them all. They're all of men, and sculpted by men. So what's missing? Women. But all of that is about to change with the arrival of a statue of suffragist Millicent Fawcett. As leader of the National Union of Women's Suffrage Societies, Fawcett fought tirelessly for women in this country to have the vote. This statue is going up to mark the centenary of the Representation of the People Act in 1918, which granted women voting rights for the very first time. Sculpted by Turner Prize-winning artist Gillian Waring, the statue was given the green light by the Mayor of London following a campaign in the Telegraph, and a petition signed by more than 85,000 people. This petition was started by activist Criado-Perez. So not being content being the woman who put Jane Austen on the £10 note, you are also the woman who has put Millicent Fawcett in Parliament Square. Can you tell us how that came about?
It was International Women's Day 2016. I had just done a panel in East London. I had to exercise my dog and I had a bit of time to kill, so I went for a run. And as I was running through Parliament Square, I imagined, because it was International Women's Day and I'd just been talking about this, I noticed for the first time that all the statues there were of men, and I set up a petition on my phone.
Did you have Millicent Fawcett in your head from the beginning, or
I didn't, no. I knew that I wanted it to be a woman who didn't have a statue. And so I didn't want Emmeline Pankhurst. You know, when I tell people the statues of Millicent Fawcett, they have no idea who she is, which is just really shocking, because out of all the people who fought for women's right to vote, she was the one who really was there for the longest. She was there from the beginning of the campaign till the end. She was there to collect signatures for the first petition to be handed into Parliament, asking for women's right to vote in 1866. And then she was up in the Ladies' Gallery in 1928 when women were finally granted equal suffrage with men, and she died the next year. Really, she dedicated her whole life to this cause. She's I think the first 3D printed statue in Parliament Square, which is really exciting.
I've come along to the foundry where the statue is being built to see just how the 3D modelling has been put into practice. So how was Millicent made? Can you talk me through some of the 3D printing processes you used?
She was made by getting a model, but her body and form are scanned all the way around in 360 degrees. That scan is then digitally manipulated by the artist, Gillian, adjusting various things on it in 3D. And we print her out in a resin. So she looks like this. As a 3D print, it's all printed in secret, and then the parts arrive with you. The skirt bit arrived in pieces. This is the first bit we got, and then the other bits would arrive in the following weeks.
So it was like a jigsaw puzzle for you, really? Yeah.
It's like a giant sort of model kit. This is clay. This is portrait sculpted by the portrait sculptor. This is her brooch, and this we scanned separately and grafted it onto this print. And this is the brooch gifted to her by the Fawcett Society. The hand is then moulded and cast into wax, but originally it's made in a plastic a bit like this one, and it has a gap that the banner fits into.
Ah, of course. What's been particularly special about working on this statue?
It commemorates something that's very important, and it's the last statue going into Parliament Square, and it's the first statue of a woman, and all these things make it a singular piece to work on.
It sounds amazing. I can't wait to see it. I've been invited to see the almost complete statue before its unveiling. And here she is, in all her bronzed glory. So what does the Mayor think?
Well, firstly, can I thank the Telegraph, but more importantly, Caroline Criado-Perez for this amazing campaign. Parliament Square has statues of great people, remarkable people, and it beggars belief that in 2016, not one of the 11 statues was a woman. And I campaigned as a feminist, and I said I wanted to be a proud feminist in City Hall. And when I saw the strength of the argument, for me it was a no-brainer. Well, I'm so proud seeing Millicent Fawcett behind me, almost finished.
Almost finished. One woman and 11 men now in Parliament Square. Do you think that's enough?
No, It's clearly not enough. Across our city, we need more statues of women, great women. Actually, if you look across the UK, the number of statues of non-royal women is only about 2.5%. That can't be right. And I want young people to be ambitious, to be aspirational, but to realise actually this country was built by great women as well as great men.
How did you feel when you were put in charge of this project?
It was a real honour actually. I kind of just thought, you know, what a kind of moment in history, and to be, you know, steering that process through, chairing the commission, putting the curators together, choosing the artists, putting the brief together. The whole process has been, you know, really fascinating.
How old is Millicent in the statue, and why is that important?
Yeah, Millicent's 50 years old in the statue, and that is quite important. By age 50, she was really established as the leader, and she was leading the organisation that brought together all the different suffrage groups and together. So she was the chair of it, and so she was kind of honoured and established in her role at that moment, which is quite similar to all the other male figures in the square. They're all kind of depicted at this moment in their career where they were very established and they'd worked for a long time.
When the statue of Millicent Fawcett is unveiled behind me in Parliament Square, it will have been 100 years since the first women in Britain won the right to vote. Let's hope we get a lot more done in the next 100.